Gentlemen and ladies, we downloaded the Spider Guard from TF3DM and file imported it. We unzipped it, 7-zipped it, and imported it into Maya, file import. And then if you hit 6 on your keyboard, the textures will show up. So we're going to rig this guy. The cool thing about rigging non-organic stuff is that it's usually made up of hard shapes that you can use cool tricks on to rig. For example, let's say we wanted to, this guy's all one object. If we wanted to break it up into objects, we could. If you click on polygons, and then there is a separate or extract button at the top, give that a click, and then this guy becomes all different objects, which actually may be better for us to rig. Yeah, this actually may be better for us to rig it as separate objects. Again, all I did was click on the dude, and up in the polygons tab, where I'm mousing over right now, is a button called extract, and that will extract it. There's something else in Maya I need to teach you guys. Everybody look up here real quick. Under window and assets, there's 3 little icons. Okay, you have select by hierarchy and combinations, which I never use. Select by object type and select by component type. You'll notice that when you extracted the dude and you select his pieces, they're blue. That's because it's in component mode, and if you select on it, it's going to select faces. If you click on the other icon to the left, that will be in object mode, and it will select the actual objects. Okay, so components are faces, edges, vertices. Objects are objects, just that. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep this dude in object form here, and let's go ahead and start rigging. So this is actually quite small for this guy. Like if I were to go to animation and create a joint, if you hold X while you create joints, it will create them on the grid. So you can snap joints to grid points. This dude is quite small, so I would actually like to scale him up probably about 10 times the size he is. So let's go ahead and select all of his objects. Make sure you're in object mode, and then group them, Control G. And then in your scale XYZ on the right, your channel box and layer editor, you can make that pop up by hitting Control A a couple times. You hit Control A, it'll expand the attribute editor or minimize to the channel editor, and there's tabs on the right too that will get you there. If you deselect your guy while he's grouped, if you select him again and hit up on your keyboard, it will select the group. We'll always select the group. It's pretty cool. So we can actually name this group Spider Group. Make sure you're naming the group and not the dude. And then in XYZ, when the group is selected, go ahead and change 1 to 10 in all XYZ. You can shift select XYZ. Go ahead and shift select that and type in 10, and he will now be 10 times the size. And that's going to be a little bit better for us. We can actually see how big this dude is. Like let's say you were like rigging this guy as a boss or an enemy in your game, and your character himself, usually male models in games are usually about 6 feet tall, you can actually go to Wikipedia and type in, not model, what am I doing? Male. Average male height, and it looks like this is how I always make my males. It had it, but basically it's usually about 5'11". I usually do it about 6 feet or so, and the average height for a female is usually about like 5'5", 5'6", something like that, from what I remember. So, for example, if we were making this guy a boss, and we know that our character is 6 feet tall, we would want to size this guy accordingly. And the way you can do that is go ahead and tap your space bar, and let's go into the, you can do front or side view, it doesn't matter, and go up to create, and go to measure tools, distance tool, and if you click off to the right once for about as tall as he is, and then again on the ground, if you hold shift while you click, it'll make it in a straight line. And so we've created a, we're just measuring how tall this dude is. And now that says, when I create that says 156, 3, and some numbers. So 156, that means nothing to me. So I need to figure out what units Maya's in right now. So if you go up to Window, Settings and Preferences, and if you click on Settings, right in the middle, Settings is right in the middle, you'll notice that it says Working Units is linear, centimeter. Okay, so it's in centimeters right now. I want to do this. Actually, we'll keep it in centimeters, and what we'll say is we'll make this guy about as 3 times as tall, or 4 times as tall as a normal human. So if a normal human's 6 feet, so what's 6 times 4? 24. So we go to Google, type in 24 feet to centimeters, and cool, Google pops up our converter here, and it says that's a lot of centimeters. What? So what we can do is we can grab that top locator and in Y paste that number, and it's huge. Can that really be that big?
Yeah. 24 feet is a...
That's huge.
Two-story building.
Let's change it to feet here. Settings and preferences, settings, feet. Or foot. So this guy is 5 feet tall right now. Let's change that to 24. There we go. So we've changed our in Windows Settings and Preferences. Click on Settings. We changed our working units to feet, foot, and hit Save. Then your measure tool, to create the measure tool, you go to Create, Measure Tools, Distance Tool, feet, foot. And in your side view, you want one of the locators to be at the base and one at the thing. But anyway, this is just how you measure in Maya. So if you were like, again, if your character is about 6 feet tall, which typically you want to rig a human about 6 feet tall, or male, and then, you know, your female. And then, so we're making the boss 4 times the human height. So what we'll do is, now that we have our measurement there, we can see about how tall 24 feet is. We notice that we need to scale our dude up a little bit higher. So if you select him and tap up to select the group, we will have to scale this, looks like about, so I typed in 50. We can go ahead and round it up to 50. That's fine. So he is about 50 feet tall. Sorry, he's not 50 feet tall. He's 24 feet tall. We've scaled him up to 50. So in XYZ, he is 50. Okay. Hey, do you have a USB drive? Is everybody with me so far? Does anybody need the files so they can catch up? Do you need the files so you can catch up? Go ahead and launch Maya. It tripped out. Deanna, how did I know yours would trip out?
I'm sorry. I did what you said.
Let's go ahead and make sure. Do you have the files? Okay. I'll go ahead and save this.
I think I followed everything you said. I thought I changed the height and stuff. It just disappeared. I didn't do anything.
Okay, you are going to give these files to a few people.
Okay.
I need to actually, you know what we need to do? Actually, let's not do this. We're going to do Google Drive thingy. Okay. We're making a what?
We're making a Metal Gear, aren't we?
Metal Gear?
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of the
Oh, we're making a Gundam.
Reminds me of that boss Metal Gear Rising.
Oh yeah.
Nano machines, son. They are your responsiveness control. Like college ball.
So I'm making a Google Drive so we don't have to pass files around anymore. Because that's just ridiculous.
You sure?
I'm sure.
I thought it was a nice like team building exercise.
Yeah, but it's inefficient.
You don't like team
So, does everybody know how to use Google Drive? Okay, I'm going to walk you guys through what I'm doing here because it's pretty cool. So I saved out my Maya file, right? And I logged into Google, my Gmail account, right? And then I just went to googledrive.com, and here's my Google Drive. And I made a folder in here called Reading Class, and I dropped in my Maya file, okay? You just drag it right in. Now what I want to do is go to Share, and it's gonna ask me for people that I want to share to, or a shareable link, right? So I'm just going to click on Get Shareable Link, copy that, and then I'll go to tinyURL, and it's going to take that massive link and make a tiny URL, which is this one. So now, anybody that wants these files can go to this tiny URL and download from the Google Drive. So go to that, type that in your browser, and download those files. Deanna, can you do that? Wow. What's the trouble, Alexis? It's supposed to be what?
Yes.
Can you help her?
Yes.
Chris, Alexis, whenever you have trouble, you grab Chris, and Chris will help you. Okay?
Give you a bell at the end of the business, man.
Fine.
Where is it? Where is your mom? Why did you get rid of your mom?
Thank you. Maybe I need to read it.
I actually selected your whole mom. Okay, now go up and press separate.
It's like,
It's like a, like a series and then there's like a single.
file. That's what it is. Yeah, I think we may need to test the texture for
Oh crap! I forgot about the textures. Sorry, bros. Sorry about that.
Did you just straight up not include the text?
I straight up not included the textures. So same link. Well,
What?
you guys that didn't have the textures, go to this link and the textures will be in there. So download the textures also. This will take you to the folder where the textures are.
No, that's all you have to do. You put it in the wrong place. I couldn't pass up the opportunity. Leave me alone. Sometimes you just gotta. But you gotta do. That's also what she said. It's got a lot of shit on it. Drunk wall.
No, I did it all. I didn't know we were supposed to post. I didn't think that we were supposed to post.
All right, you guys that like, we're waiting on y'all to be here. Everybody needs to be here very fast. Deanna, where are you? It's loading.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys that are here, go ahead and delete your measure tool. We won't need that anymore. So select the two locators and the line. So you select the line, delete, and there's two locators. Select those locators. You guys that are just loading the file, just when it loads in, hit 6 so the textures show. And let's go ahead and start creating some joints, okay?
We don't have them, Lexus.
So, go ahead up to the animation tab and double click on your joint tool And there's an option in there called variable bone radius settings. Uncheck that. And what that's going to do is make all our joints the same size. So then you can close that. And let's go ahead and start off by making a joint at the center of the grid. So if you hold X when you click on the grid, it's going to make a tiny little joint. Hit enter when you're done. It's going to be called joint 1. Or that's what it's default named as. Now we need to make these joints a little bit bigger so we can use them. So go to Window, Display Animation Joint Size. Display Animation Joint Size. And go ahead and scale that joint up to about 10's good. Display Animation Joint Size. And alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move this up. Oops. Select your joint, go ahead and move it up in the air. And go into a side view. If you tap your spacebar, you can go into a side view here, and if you tap 4 on your keyboard, it will be in wireframe mode. And the cool thing about joints in Maya is they're higher in the scene order than objects. So if you notice, if I just drag a box over my scene here, it's going to select the joint first. So you can select your individual objects, or you can just drag a box and it'll grab the joint if you can't see it. And what we're going to do is select this dude's head. Actually, we can go back into our perspective mode for this. It doesn't matter. Select this dude's head and go to Modify Center Pivot. And what we're going to do is put that joint, let's see, yeah, that's fine. We can just leave it where it's at. So when you do Modify Center Pivot, it's going to center the pivot point for this joint. And we can go ahead and leave it there. That's fine. Or actually, let's move it down a little bit. Go into your side view. And when you have your object selected here, hit Insert on your keyboard. Insert is near the arrows, above the arrows on your keyboard. It says INS. And when you hit Insert, it's going to put that pivot point in a mode where you can move it. And if you grab the green line and move it down, we're just going to move it kind of in the center of these polygons here. You can see where I'm moving it at the bottom of his head. And I'm in a side view here, by the way. So go ahead and do this in a side view. And you can see where I've moved the pivot. It's like at the bottom, in between this polygon here, kind of centered in the polygon. And when you're finished, hit insert again. And that will lock that pivot point into place. Another way that we can do some really nifty stuff with the pivot point, go back into your perspective mode. It looks like this head, it doesn't have like a central neck point to rotate, but there is a center vertice there. If you guys see where I'm looking, go into your perspective mode here. Tap your space bar. See where my mouse is? There's a center vertice here. We can actually snap the pivot point to that if we wanted to. So if you hit insert on your keyboard, and if you hold V, you can snap the pivot point right to that center vert. And then if you hit insert again, it will set the pivot. And that way, when we rotate this guy, his head will rotate like this, right? So what we want to do is grab that bone and also snap it to that particular pivot, or yeah, that vertice. So do the same thing you just did, but hold V and snap it to that vertice. So the bone should be snapped to that vertice. If you find the vertice and then select the bone, and then you just hit W to move the bone and hold V at the same time, and it'll snap right to that vertice. Everybody understand that? Anybody having any trouble?
Is this the right one?
If you're having problems find the right one, just select the head and it should pop up, and then you can mouse over your you select the head and the bone. If you hold shift, you can select them both, and you can see it should be right on that vertice.
You got her, Alexis?
Make sure she's good.
No.
No, I believe you. You got it. You got it.
She got it?
That's what she said.
This right here is oh, and we also need to move this bit.
Dan, you good?
I'll help her.
I said Dan, not Deanna.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. God.
Alright, you guys good?
Insert.
You don't need to move the pivot point anymore. Just move the bone to that vertice. Alright, so let's name this bone head. So select the bone, and then in your channel box, name it head. Now what we're going to do is duplicate this bone and move it down a little bit. Actually, what we're going to do is grab that center, the center like spine piece. There's 3 of them below the head. Grab the center one and modify center pivot on that. Modify center pivot. Let's put the pivot right in the center of that guy. Actually, you know what? There is a center pivot or center vertice on the bottom of that thing. I want you to duplicate your bone and snap it to that. See the center vertice on the bottom of that spine piece? You can see where my mouse is. It's right there in the center on the bottom. Go ahead and duplicate your bone. So select the bone, hit Control D, and move it down, and go ahead and snap it to the center of that. Duplicate is Control D. And if you look up here, you can see where I put that bone. There's a center vertice on the bottom. And I duplicated it and put it there. If you hold V, the bone will snap to that vertice. And we'll go ahead and name this bone hip. And then when you're done with that, duplicate that bone and X, snap it to the center of the grid and call this one root. So we should have 3 bones so far. You have head, hip, and root. And you can parent them all to each other. So you can parent the head to the hip, parent the hip to the root. So you select the, in order to parent, you select the first bone, so you select the head, then select the hip, then hit P, then select the hip, then shift select the root and hit P. So we have 3 bones. We have a root at the center of the grid that we've X snapped there.
We're supposed to make another one.
Yeah, duplicate any one of those bones and X snap it to the center of the grid. So hold X while you're moving. It'll snap to the center of the grid. And you're going to call that one root.
So head to his
Head to the hip, and then hip to the root. So when you move the root, it should move everything. And parent. Anybody need help?
Can you parent them all at once?
No.
To the root.
Oh, just like head to hip, parent, and then hip to root, then parent?
Correct.
Okay.
You gonna draw Alexis?
Yeah, head to root, head to root.
Yeah. Or just P. You just mouse over like unparent something.
Shift P.
Shift. There we go. I'm trying to select just these joints, but for some reason it's selecting your head for what it's doing. But I just
You're moving it.
Okay, so that went away. Oh, you didn't. Oh, no, you did.
You guys good up there?
Define good.
Oh, jeez, I don't know if I want to. You guys, it's 3 bones, man. You're parenting 3 bones. What's going on, Deanna?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Just delete them and make them again. Deanna, we can't be doing this.
Actually, it's P, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need help?
It's tracking.
Yes. Make sure you select head to the amp, and then press P, and then
Here,
hit
tell you what,
to the root and press P. That's the one you attach to the mouthpiece. And then the root is the one.
See, that's parented for some weird reason, and I can't unparent it.
You should know. It'll, it'll like here, I'll show you. So when you parent, it looks like this. Can you open the door for whoever that is? Chow? Ow.
Alright guys,
I swear I did.
that's what you did. That's okay. Alright, let's move on here. Okay, let's go ahead and save our scenes. File save as. Go ahead and save it as Robot Spider's fine.
Binary or ASCII?
Binary's fine.
Just robot spiders. Robot spider.
Okay, now we're going to create some leg bones. We'll go ahead and start easy. And we'll do the side legs, the ones that are coming out of the side. So, again, we only need to do one set of these legs, and we can mirror them over to the other side. So go ahead and create a joint on the grid. And move this joint up and to the center ball socket of the center leg. Does that make sense?
Can you repeat it?
Where would that exactly be?
So there's like a ball socket.
Doesn't matter which leg.
What's that?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter which leg, no. And I'm trying to figure out, usually like what you do is try and use from like your side view, try and use some sort of something to find the center of that ball socket. So like for example, if you guys look in my front view here, if I'm looking at this from the front view, see where my joint is? If I zoom in on it, there's a place where the polygons crisscross. They crisscross there in the center of this ball.
Does it have to be perfect?
It doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing is in life is perfect. So your bones definitely do not have to be.
Where the socket is, there's two pieces. You know, there's the trapezoid piece and then kind of the
Yeah, I
other
see
one.
that.
Is it, you want it in the middle where those connect? That would be the center of the joint, I would think.
Yeah.
Or do you want it more into the back joint hooking to the skeleton?
You're actually, Chris is right. There's another place where they crisscross, like right in the center. So there's a trapezoid piece and a spherical piece. And it's probably good to stick it in the center. If you look at where I've stuck the joint from my front view, there's also a place where they crisscross in the center. You can stick it in the center. And again, do this from your front view. Tap your space bar and do it in the front view.
Tell you what, Chris, PowerPoint is
So we're just moving joints into place. And then from your top view, you want to make sure it's in the center also. You'll probably just have to guess, because there's no.
I should give you a tool that can select an area and then move the item to the center of
One thing that you can do, this is super old school, that I do. See, you guys look up here real quick. This is a super old school way. See my view here in Maya? I have a screen, right? And the bottom of the time slider here, and then the top of the screen. If you right click and hold, I can zoom in to where this piece from top to bottom fits just in my window here. And then I can grab the joint and then just eyeball like the center of my view here. It doesn't have to be perfect. but that'll give me kind of where the center is. You just want. I mean, there's no perfect way to do it, but there's pretty damn close. There's perfect, and then there's pretty damn close. And we're going for pretty damn close. Okay. So then go ahead and duplicate that joint, move it forward, and there should be like another socket where that knee is going to rotate, what have you. Again, jump into your front view and your side view, and there's like a screw there. You just want to get it kind of as close as you can. And then there's what?
The joint that I just made is not showing up in my side view when I talk to you.
Keep trying to find it. What? We're just duplicating joints and creating the structure here. So there's one for the knee. If you duplicate down, there's another one kind of at the ankle.
So we're basically just putting them wherever anything that might rotate goes.
Correct. You're putting joints wherever anything may rotate. If you look, there's an ankle ball. That one's actually its own piece. You can go modify center pivot on it.
And do we want to put one on that foot?
And you can kind of see where it's at.
There's a polygonal shape on the foot. Do we put one in there too?
Chris, you asked if there was one that was going to go on the foot.
Yes. It looks like that foot does this.
Talking about this piece here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You want one in the center there too.
Coolio.
Coolio.
Come look at mine.
And when you're finished, go ahead and parent those just like we parented the other ones.
So I have one here in the center here, and one here in the center there, one there, and one in the foot. You see?
One in the foot.
Anywhere where you see a ball joint, like this, kind of like a jointish thing, put one there.
And then you want to parent these to the hip. So if you guys want to look up here, you can see kind of my structure so far. Parented from the hip, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hmm? Just on the lower ball.
And then there are, like, he kind of has these toes, and he has these these cubes where the toes are, the centers of those are where you're going to put the bones. Okay? So one trick, let me show you guys one trick here. Like for these cubes, if you select the cubes and go into your attribute editor, there's an option where you can turn on display rotate pivot, and you can center the pivot on them. Remember we did that for the car? And then the rotate pivot's available to snap to. So you can select each one of those, display rotate pivot. Each one of those, display rotate pivot.
So I may have done this wrong.
But you'll need to center the pivot on them.
So it's jacking up. I try to parent the leg joints to the hip joint.
Do what now?
It's jacking up when I try to parent the leg joints to the hip joint.
Chris, what are you talking about?
Talking about parenting the leg joint to the hip joint.
So look up here. So if you select a cube and you click on your attribute editor here and click on the shape node, you're able to, under pivots, you can display the rotate pivot, but you have to center your modify center pivot so it pops in the center. Got that? You also want to give him tips, the tips of his toes. So create a joint and move it down to the tip of his toe. And that will be on the grid. And yeah, and then you'll parent that. Isn't this fun?
In what order do we need to like parent the joints of the legs?
So look up here.
No, in the legs, not the shoulders.
You parent them up like an arm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, to the hip, yeah.
Mine wouldn't let me parent it to the hip.
The first
Do
is
you know why it doesn't like me?
I know why I don't like you.
You love them.
Does
you
that
talk
count?
about. I don't know what you're talking about, Chris.
What are you talking about, Chris?
Talk about the hip joint.
So you guys look up here. This is what the foot should look like. See that? These bottom toes are on the grid. See how they're flat on the grid? Like that. The bottoms are on the bottom of the grid. And then watch how my leg goes from there. Okay? Anybody need any help? You need help?
I do. I'm saying this. I can't get the leg to attach to the hip.
Huh? Because you parented the wrong way.
You did?
Unparented. You're parenting the wrong way. See how that goes down small?
Yeah.
It needs to go that way. You need to unparent all that.
Shift P to unparent?
Yeah, Shift P.
No. Doesn't let me. Okay, I'm just gonna do it again. It says it is already a child of the parent world when I push Shift P. Any clue?
when we click in the attribute editor, when clicking one of the boxes.
So watch over here. Click the attribute editor. Oh. Hold on. Click the attribute editor. Now there's the far left tab, which is called the shape node, and then you'll see pivots, and you can click on display rotate pivot. See this tab? There's tabs in the attribute editor. The far left one, click that. Then click display rotate pivot.
Okay.
And then you can see the rotate pivots for your objects. And you can V-snap the bones to them. Who's done? I'm curious. Anybody done here? I've zoomed this up so you guys can see the structure here. And then if you guys are done, you can go ahead and name these joints. I guess we'll call them, this will be like, what leg is this? Depending on what leg you are, I guess this can be like left hip 2, left leg, I guess left knee, left ankle. So this will be left, I'll just do L hip 2. or I'll do actually left center hip, LC hip, and then I'll do LLEG for leg, and then L knee, then L ankle. I'm trying to think if we should label these like LC ankle, like for center, you know? LC knee, LC leg. So it's LC hip, LC leg, C for center, LC knee, LC ankle, and then you'll do like LC toe 1 through 3.
Where'd you put the joints on the toes?
And then the toe tips will be LC toe hip, or LC toe tip 1 through 3.
Yeah, and like
What's up? What about it? Yeah, so look up here. So make sure that the toe tips are on the bottom of the grid. See how they're on the exact bottom of the grid here? And then look at where they are on the tip here. They're basically like in the center, touching the bottom of the grid. See that? And what's the reason we make toe tips is because if we make a toe tip and it's perfectly centered at the tip of the toe on the bottom of the grid, and we parent the toe to the toe tip, it's going to point the it's going to point that bone perfectly straight, so that when we rotate it, it's going to rotate that toe tip. We don't have to do any adjusting. Does that make sense? It's pretty cool how that works. It just, except for that. Stupid.
will be up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Alright,
Is everybody getting pretty close to being done here?
First,
Okay, there's some stuff with the toes I want to show you. It's weird that that doesn't do that, but let's see. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay. So I want you guys to select all your toes. Select all the toe joints. Shift select them. Wow, that's cool. Okay. So when they're all selected like this, go to skeleton and the option box for orient joint. And make sure primary axis is on X and the two secondary axes are on Y, and click apply and watch what happens. So now when you rotate the blue rotator, they all rotate on the same axis.
cool.
Okay, again, you select the toes, the three toes, go to skeleton and the option box for orient joint. Click on primary axis X and the two secondaries Y and hit apply. Then when you have them all selected, if you rotate them, there's a blue rotator which is Z. If you rotate those, they should all rotate on the same axis. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, man.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. And probably it's best to just go ahead and select the entire leg. That worked really well for me, actually.
what did you do in the orient joint options?
Actually, never mind.
I think didn't you do it when you went from
Okay, this is what I want you guys to do. Open that joint orient up thing again. Open that up again. We're going to orient these joints. Okay, so select your entire leg. Hopefully everybody's got their leg built by now, all their toes, everything, yeah? Okay, so select your entire leg and then open up that joint orient tool and go ahead and hit apply. That's going to orient the entire leg. Okay, so as you can see, like, that makes it like pretty perfect. It's awesome. Now zoom into the ankle. Now as you can see, the ankle needs to be flat, but it's not. So in your orient settings, change it to orient joint to world and then click apply. And now it'll flatten those joints out. Now shift select the toes one more time and then change your orient settings again to uncheck orient world and hit apply again. So what we want is the entire leg oriented, and then we want that center joint flat for the ankle, but then we want the toes facing down. Does everybody understand that? What we just did? So we oriented the entire leg with a couple clicks. That is awesome. You want me to go through that again?
Yes, please.
Okay. Select the entire leg, and with your joint orient open, hit apply. Then zoom into the ankle. Click that center joint in the ankle. Click the center joint in the ankle. Click orient joint to world and hit apply. That will now center the ankle joint. Then shift select your toe joints and then uncheck orient joint to world back on the different axes and hit apply, and that will point those down the chain. So we want the toes pointed down the chain, the ankle centered, and then the legs, we want those pointed down the chain too. Do you guys have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
And then save your scene. The reason we need joints oriented is so they're essentially pointing in the right direction, so that when we rotate them, they'll rotate correctly. When you create joints, they're not. When you create joints or a joint chain, Maya doesn't understand which way the joints are supposed to rotate, so you have to orient them. Does everybody know what the word orient means? I will Google that. And I'm not talking about China. Damn it! So this is, it's not the countries of
It's like
Asia.
orientation, knowing where you
It's
are.
align or position, something relative to the points. Forget compass, other specified positions. So you're aligning, we're basically aligning the joints, okay? Are you out?
I'm out. See you later.
See you, bros.
Wait, how do we name the joints?
Oh no! Wait, no, 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 we're missing.
How do you name the joints?
Like, I mean, like, what was the name
Alright, so we need to make some comments.
Alright, so the joints, we've got
This one's it's
LB hip,
this time we don't have to actually.
I'm sorry, LC hip,
Alright, so
C for center, okay? Then it's LC leg, LC knee, LC ankle,
the leftmost ten.
and then LC toe 1 through 3 and LC toe tip 1 through 3.
And they'll make it perfect just over here, so we need to center them. So center it, and rotate it there, and we can use that for just center joints.
So you have hip, leg, knee, ankle, then toe 1 through 3, and toe tip 1 through 3.
Yeah, you got it. There's one more step. Create. Just yeah, there you go. It's not zero to create. Sorry. Right. Now. We'll just focus on the first one. Now we have to make joints and put them on those pivots. So this will be a little easy for us since we have one. So we'll just use yeah, you make some sort of joints and then you put right in the middle there. Okay, so this copy paste them and make some rules. And then you pull and it's down a little far to get pretty much over where you want it should be. Unless there's like a million things covering it.
Has everybody got their stuff all hooked up?
Nope.
Why not?
Because we're way behind.
Why are you behind?
Because I'm trying to help her. I'm being a good student. Are you saying I shouldn't be a good student? Yes.
Are you a bad student?
Well, fine if I'm not appreciated.
No! Don't leave! You can't leave!
Too bad.
He's gone.
Finally caught.
Yeah, I love you too.
Who is not ready yet? What are you guys doing?
Well, I just fell behind when I was trying to help you. Yeah, I will.
What's up?
So we're supposed to do the feet. Do we do these parts right here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Right there and right there. Right there. And then the feet too. Okay. There's supposed to be 3 of them in the feet. 3 and then 1. Okay, and then another 3.
Guys, let's take a 10-minute break. Let's be back at 2:20. Let everybody catch up here. Guys, please catch up by 2:20.
I'm gonna need some help here because like I'm way behind. You can help me. Is the other Chris here? Or where'd he go? Because I'm like 20 steps behind. Yes. Okay, so what do you do from this point? The joints is Yeah, I didn't know he was working on the middle. Oh, well, I guess he's working on the front. Alright, cool. Alright.
No.
You're supposed to pair. Are we supposed to pair it from bottom to top or from top to bottom?
I'm gonna need to grab some fun for the run.
I am going to put this scene up on the Google Drive.
Yeah, please do, because mine just broke worked on me.
That way you guys can catch up. It's in the same folder. This is tiny URL. What is it, Peter?
No, taking a break.
Please keep the Google Drive open if you're using it. That way you don't have to tiny URL.
What was the tiny URL?
The phone is the monitoring.
And you should just be able to overwrite your file. That way you guys all have the same file as me. I would recommend just go ahead and opening the Google Drive anyway, because when we're finished creating the bone structure, I'll probably want all you guys to have my file. What? So select the entire leg. Now go to skeleton, option box for orient joint. Move that over. Now click apply. Oh. Right. So now see how that points now? Watch it. See how that's different? So now it points down the leg. So now zoom into the ankle. Now that's oriented, that tilted. So now click. Yep, click that. Now hit apply. See now it's flat. That's a good one. Now select the toes. Just select all the toes. No. Hit. Select it. Select one. Hit T. See now that goes away. Now hit rotate again, so you can see the rotator. Yep. Now hit Y. Yeah. No, you're. Oh, uncheck world.
Oh,
Yeah, Y. So now they point down the chain. So we want the leg to point down the chain, except the ankle, and then we want from the toes down. So you could have seen here. There's options like orient children. So if you did, if you like uncheck that,
you probably should.
we could have just done the entire leg, and then unchecked that, and then did the ankle, and it wouldn't mess with the toes. Does that make sense?
Where did you get the file from?
All right, guys, it's 2:20. Is everybody here or have the file? Alexis, you should probably just get this file. Just go to the Google Drive. Do you still have the Google Drive? And go to the URL. Do you use two hands when you type? No?
My joints are pretty small.
What's your email?
How'd you
Alexis. See the URL on the screen?
Oh.
Go to that URL.
Have you increased the joint size?
Display animation joint size. There you go. I made it big on the screen. Can you not see that?
No.
Take your phone, take a picture. Actually, here.
Where did you download it from?
D drive.
Well, I mean, this one I downloaded off of the drive. Yeah, just use that URL and download the new version.
All right, everybody good? Are we good? Are we good? All right, let's finish the spider. We are quite a ways from finishing this spider. Okay, so the cool thing about this is once we have a spider leg, we are not going to remake that leg. We are going to take the simplest route to try and duplicate this. Okay?
Your origin freeze.
Oh, whoops. We're going to take the simplest route to duplicate this because all the other legs are pretty much the same. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to mirror this leg over to the other side. So go ahead and select the leg from the hip, from the LC hip, not the middle hip, but the LC hip. Okay? So look, everybody look up here, see where I've selected my leg. Not the center, but the other one, okay? Now go up to the option box in skeleton mirror joint. Skeleton mirror joint. And what we're gonna do is, what this is gonna do is it's gonna mirror it over to the other side. And there's a search and replace in this option. We wanna search for L and replace with R. Okay, and mine are capitals. I don't know if you guys did capitals or not in your naming. Search for L, capital L, and replace with capital R. If you haven't yes. Hello? This is he. Hi. Okay. Sure. Okay. Yes. Sounds good. Bye. Okay. So go ahead, once you did L or R, go ahead and hit mirror or apply to keep the box open. And you'll notice it just kind of shifts it to the side. That's not what we want. We want it on the other side. So select YZ and it will shift it to the other side. So select YZ and it'll click it to the other side. Okay. Now we're going to do more complicated crap.
Yay.
So if you look at the legs the problem with this dude is that mirroring from left to right is really easy because we're just duplicating. But we can't mirror the other legs because he's got like, they're like, the leg structure's different. It's the same but different. You see that? Like one knee's higher than the other, one hip's higher than the other. So what we're going to do is we're going to mirror it, but just we're going to use XY this time. So go ahead and open your mirror options back up, and instead of L and R, this is going to be, we're going to do L again. This is going to be C and B. Okay, so instead of center, it's still left side, so we're going to keep the L's, but instead of it's going to search for center and replace it with back. Okay, we're going to do that back leg. So C and B. So, what's that?
So you L and R and then C, B.
This time it's C and B. All right, so go ahead and click mirror this time, and it's just going to pop it to the left, a little bit to the left. It should look like this. Everybody with me here?
It says error every time I try to do it.
Why does it say error, Deanna?
Too many arguments.
Okay, and go ahead and go to your top view. So tap your space bar. And what we're going to do is move this joint now to the center of that socket. And this is going to be a little bit weird, but there's no real way I can describe this to you, but you have to kind of look at where it was on the other leg. Mine, you want to match to where it was on the other leg. That's all I can really say to you. So look at your other leg, see where that was in the center on your other leg, and try and match it as close as you can. Again, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. So you just kind of want, and you're doing this from the top view. Is everybody with me so far? Anybody need any help? Who needs help? That's your, what view is that? Go up to view, select camera, then go into your perspective, and hit W to move. Hit W, now move that up, above the dude. Now look at your top view. So we've mirrored that leg and we're just moving it to the center. You're matching it to the center of your other thing. Who needs help? Raise your hand if you need help. Anybody? So I don't want you to rotate the leg just yet. Okay? Don't rotate it. You're just moving it to the center. We're going to use some tricks here to align this leg. Alright, everybody good? Everybody good? Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this leg, okay, to match the other leg, okay? Now the problem is you need to be in your top view for this, okay? Hey Ira, can you show him how to fix his camera? And watch what he's doing. Okay, we need to rotate this leg into place of the other leg here. We're going to do this with measurements, okay, so it's even. I want you to select the leg, double click on your rotate tool. Now in your rotate tool you'll see something that says two options, one that says discrete rotate and one that says relative. Go ahead and click those on. And what you're going to do is you're going to change that step size to 15. And then you're going to rotate that leg into place using the yellow rotator. And as you rotate, it's going to snap. And you're just going to snap it until it rotates into place. Discrete and relative, and change the step size to 15. Then when you're finished, you can uncheck discrete and relative and close that box. And then go ahead and go into your perspective view. Now, as you can see, the leg is still not perfectly in place the way we want it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the ankle and work our way up from the ankle. Okay? So as you can see, the ankle is not where it's supposed to be. The knee is not where it's supposed to be. So we need to move the knee and the rest of the stuff into place here. Now in your move tool, go ahead and double click your move tool. Okay? Now change it from world to object. And as you notice, when you click that, it now moves in the direction of the joint as opposed to the world. So you can go ahead and move this joint now to the center of that other socket, to the center of the knee socket, and it moves the entire thing. And just kind of want to like eyeball it I mean, it's not going to be perfect. Just try and eyeball it the best you can. And when you move just that knee, it's going to move all the other stuff below that into place. You won't have to move any of that stuff. Okay? Now let's work our way up the knee here. So one of the things about this knee joint here is that it's not in the center of that, like vertically in the center of the of that joint. So we need to move it up without affecting the distance of the other stuff. Actually, let me see something here. Actually, we're okay. We're actually okay. That's okay. I think. Yes. Alexis, I don't know what you're talking about.
So it doesn't, it's not gonna be exactly as soon as you move it to see.
Yeah, just get it as close as you can. All right. Okay, the ankle, knee, and hip. The ankle, leg, knee, and hip we're going to have to move slightly. Okay, so guys, look up here for a second. There's a tool that you can use that will move joints that have joints below them and not affect those joints. So if you go up to skin and there's a dotted dashed line at the top, that will pull this menu out. So go to skin and there's a dotted dashed line, pull that menu out. And now go ahead and select the ankle. And there's an option there called Move Skin Joints tool. If you click that option and then move that ankle up to keep it in the center, you'll see that it moves that joint without affecting the other joints. So you want to go ahead and move that now to the center of that ball socket. And then move up the knee, move up to the knee and do the same thing. You want to move it to the center of that socket vertically. We're only doing this vertically. And then you'll move up the leg and move it to the center of these sockets. And again, we're just moving vertically here.
Would you click in the under skin? Under the skin tab?
Another thing is we need to make sure that we're moving in world as opposed to object. So undo, double click on your move tool and change it back to world And again, the option is under Skin, and it's called Move Skin Joints tool. And make sure you double click on your Move tool and you're in World, not Object. So we're just moving these joints to the center of the socket and working your way up the leg. Oh, it actually doesn't matter. Oh yeah, it does. So we're just adjusting vertically here. Is everybody with me, kinda? So if you, that's the last step to the leg here, to this back leg. You can actually take that center leg and do the same thing for the forward leg, the same steps that we just did for the forward leg here. So if you remember all those steps, you just mirror the leg, mirror the joint, and this time instead of center, it's going to be, you're replacing C with F, so for front. And you'll do all those steps we just did to rotate that leg in place. Instead of C, or it's going to go C and F. Yes, C.
Is it on the Y Z or
What's that?
is it X, Y, Y, Z?
You're having a scene error.
No. Is it still on the X, Y?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's same error.
It's what?
That's what I got too.
I love
Which
that.
one?
Right.
Yeah. If you finish your 3 legs, you can go ahead and mirror those other to the other side. All you're going to change is, when you mirror them, you're going to change the L to R. So you just select one, because we've already mirrored the center ones. We just need to mirror the other ones. So you just L to R. Mirror. And then if you look up here, when you're finished, you should have legs. Legs. And when you finish this, go ahead and save your scene. And we are done for today. And we will pick up next time. Isn't rigging fun?